Welcome to a look at a new game, and by new I mean so early access that it would seem to be beyond early access into some new realm of even earlier access. The game has a name, that is Radical Heights, has a sort of Battle Royale 80s game show vibe, and yeah, if it didn't have the name of the developer Boss Key on the side, I probably wouldn't have even given it a second look after I forced myself to watch the trailer, released just one day before the game hitched its spandex and wobbled onto Steam. But first, let's talk about the elephant that isn't even in the room. Lawbreakers was many things, but a roaring runaway success it was not. Blame that on a market that didn't want a new arena shooter, or a price tag that was added to a game that had previously been talked about as free to play, or design decisions, or whatever. Regardless of what you say about Lawbreakers, you could never claim it wasn't a quality product. There was definite skill, talent, work, and care got into that game. You may argue that people didn't care for the finished article, but you couldn't doubt the quality of the materials and the skill of the tailoring from Boss Key. So, with all that in mind, I watched the trailer for Radical Heights yesterday with something of a dazed disbelief. Was this April the 1st? No, it's not. So, this is real. It's on Steam. People are playing it. So, I had to know. First impressions? Well, it smells like the culling mixed with H1Z1. The game show conceit is doing most of the heavy lifting in terms of narrative. It's the 80s, but not in a sort of retro wave or synthwave cool way. This is the brash nostalgia of early video games, bizarre cartoons, and now stupid-looking fashion. Like I said, it's Battle Royale, so you already know how this works, but the game show vibe just keeps giving, with the contestants, aka the players, trying to win big money and other prizes, along with doing gruesome battle with people they meet. The twist here is the money system. Basically, there's reason to loot the areas to earn cash that can allow you to unlock weapons and items, but the biggest departure is the ability for this cash to persist between matches. If you die, you drop a percentage of the money you're holding, so you can deposit or withdraw small amounts at points on the map to bank or boost yourself during that match. It's an interesting idea that needs time to settle, but immediately you have to wonder if it'll get into a rich get richer type scenario. I've mentioned that it's early access about 3 times so far, but let me say that again now. Holy wow, is it early access. We're talking grey, untextured areas of the map, something that even early access titles would be advised to avoid as it pollutes the experience of playing the game. Tower blocks of what I'm guessing are residential apartments that you can walk around, but the main feeling is just how quickly this stuff must have been created, and just how quickly they could have put even a simple single-colour material to separate the buildings visually. It screams of things not being publicly ready. Along with that, we have performance that is patchy and at an unacceptable level, connection and queuing issues, animation bugs and wholly missing animations, and I've experienced some severe rubber banding. The physics for the BMX bike appear to be powered by some previously unknown avenue of mathematics where the world doesn't make sense. You can be gliding, spinning, turned sideways on the seat, or pogoed upwards just while trying to make your way across the map. The audio is off as well. Footsteps will play with your character even after you've stopped moving. The weapons sometimes sound like stock sounds. I'm pretty sure I can hear some of the developers doing the voiceover roles. But it's the unevenness of tone again that undermines the experience. 1 second the game is loud and brash, and the next it's whisper quiet, and dare I say it, slightly dull. This has an effect on the kind of pacing the game has as well. If there's no environmental sounds, it tends to be footsteps that you hear a lot, which seems at odds with the kind of arcade attack all the time motif that you imagine the game show theme and visuals might seem to suggest. So yeah, it's early access like you might imagine a brand new indie developer you've never heard of before. And yet, this all looks tainted in the wake of PUBG and Fortnite. The Battle Royale bandwagon has been rolling for so long that adding a BR mode to an existing title has itself become a cliché. Battle Royale has moved on. Fortnite especially has taken the quality of what's possible to the next level, with regular updates, variations on the core design, great incentives linked to reasonable fixed-period passes to earn in-game items and progress. It's hard not to judge Radical Heights harshly when we know the studio is capable of making high-quality content. But what is deemed fit to have players invest in is something with grey box buildings and a litany of issues. That the phrase "embrace the jank" is being used on the game's own Twitter, I'm afraid it's too easy to view the game as it stands at the moment with at least a little cynicism. It's the sort of thing I'd imagine being said about a title like Goat Simulator. I'm not being wholly negative though. I take no pleasure in ripping into things. There are intriguing ideas. The money system is interesting. It feels like it might have a bit of legs if it has a bit more development and tuning. Something of a CS-style economy to squad games, or maybe even some sort of competitive mode where you can only use weapons you buy from looting. You can imagine the different ways it could go. The final showcase shootout circle with a dark border bringing the match to a head is a nice idea, and it works well with the game show theme. In many ways, I prefer the combat of Fortnite to the constant rapid-fire building that it has become. So maybe this game can carve out some sort of space for a third-person combat BR with not much emphasis on vehicles. The areas of the map that look more finished don't look particularly great or cohesive, but are populated with assets to at least make them feel well furnished. And to be honest, it's partly this that makes the grey box areas feel so bad and out of place. The squares system and warning colour coding on the map are an interesting alternative to the shrinking circle mechanic that we're all familiar with now. For the matches I played, I didn't have many instances of circle running, where you spend your whole match frustratingly battling the herding mechanics and not other players. In the end, there's actually fun to be had. It's got a rough H1Z1 feel, and the looting and shooting and combat role mechanics are okay, but could use further work. And the overall pacing of the whole match seems reasonably well suited.
Oh, pretty sure they didn't see that one coming. Here are all the great prizes you will be leaving with.
It's free to play, so no one loses out if you try the title now or choose to wait and see how things develop. And there's no hint of any sort of pay-to-win creeping in at all. With the best will in the world, perhaps the vast percentage of what we have now is placeholder for better things in the future. My gripes about aesthetic choices are of course personal preference. I've seen others treat it as whimsical fun, but for me, the things like the voiceovers are cringe enough to make me want to gnaw my own knuckles with discomfort. After being announced the day before, it hit almost 9,000 concurrent players on early access release day, and built that to 12,000 the following day. So at the moment at least, it looks like it has some traction with players looking for a new VR experience. The Steam reviews have been varied. At one point I think it was at something like 38% positive, but by the time I checked today, it's sitting at 55% positive with over 4,000 reviews. There's clearly a long way to go in development for Radical Heights before it turns 1.0, but I can't help wondering if it had been held back another month or so, things wouldn't have been so rough around the edges and it might have had a smoother introduction to the world. I'm interested to know what you think of the game. Have you tried Radical Heights? Do you think it looks totally tubular and gnarly? Or do you think it looks extremely not like a title you're interested in playing? Either way, let me know in the comments section below right now how cool my accent sounds using this 80s street lingo. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe to help me grow the channel and look at new games like this one. If you want to follow me on social media, there are a bunch of links to Twitter and the new Steam group below too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Oh, pretty sure they didn't see that one coming. Here's a look at what you're taking home today.